219! 219!
Forward Progress, a Chicago Bears podcast with Dan Bernstein and Matt Abaticola on 312 Sports.
If you care about the Chicago Bears, and I know you do, you cannot miss Forward Progress. I know you didn't last night because we had a nice little post-game party going on here that was a hell of a lot of fun. So welcome to it if you're a Bears fan. Hi, thanks for hanging out with us. Forward Progress is brought to you by Church Brewing, New Buffalo's brewery-pizzeria in a historic church. Wood-fired Neapolitan pizza, small batch craft beer, brunch every day. Visit our friends at beerchurchbrewing.com. When we last left you, we were in these same seats talking about the Bears' 25-24 victory over the Washington Commanders, their second win by that score on the road in a couple of games. And on Dan Bernstein Unfiltered today, we talked big picture, what it means, where they are, what it says about where they could go. But we like to dig a little deeper into some of the football stuff and some of the X and O stuff here. And let me just tell you about the experience I had last night, first of all. And I mentioned this before, but so I can't see the live comments during the show when we record Forward Progress, especially postgame. Now, Matt, I know you can. I'm sure there's a way that I can, but I just didn't have it set up that way. So I didn't know my son Jason had jumped into the chat and was
several times.
And according to at least one person in the chat was quote unquote cooking me. So he called me after. He was like, "Why don't you check your text? Why don't you respond to the chat?" Because he was enjoying roasting me, and people didn't.
When did he turn into Keanu Reeves?
That he was yelling at me. So I decided that you would have been so proud of me last night that I mentioned that I did afterwards. It takes me a little time to cool down from these night games because I can't just go right to bed.
Yeah, no, it's
so I've got
difficult.
to eat. I've got to kind of take the edge off a little bit. So I did. I there are certain things with a gummy consistency that can help you take the edge off a little bit and kind of coast you into that headspace for sleep a little bit. And I decided I was going to rewatch last night's Forward Progress on mute, just watching the live chat from start. And let me tell you something. It was hysterical. It was hysterical because I also had Top Gun Maverick on the TV.
Look at you! You didn't mention that before.
It was sort of on in the background.
Okay.
While I was eating, and I was half watching the movie, and then I'm like, okay, because I wanted to see where Jason was coming into the chat, but I started it from the beginning, and it's fast, but it's really fun. Like there were several times where you almost made pastrami come out of my nose. There are some very, very funny people. There's some weirdos, but the responses to some of them, I hope you're having as much fun. I know people have said to me, I hope you're having as much fun on the podcast as it seems, and I can tell you that I definitely am. I hope you're having as much fun in the live chat for some of these live shows as it seems you are.
Do you have a TV dedicated to just Top Gun Maverick that's on loop? Like
I know you do. I know you
Okay.
recommend that. I haven't called Wex. I haven't had
Every
him
home
come
should
out
have
and do
one.
just
Yes.
a Top Gun. No, like in college, I had one that only had Die Hard on, pretty much.
Nice. Hey, what's that hat behind you before I forget to ask again?
This hat?
Yeah, because you keep switching the hats up.
Yeah. Well, so far this is the third hat. We've had the Paletas, which is the Beloit Sky Carps alternate for the Copa Diversión. We've had a Rancho Cucamonga Quakes hat.
Okay.
And this hat is Los Troceros. This is in the Azteca League.
Okay.
Here in Chicago, and this was the Jason Bernstein pitched for. It's a semi-pro team.
Okay.
In the Azteca League, about about half the guys on the team get paid. Jason was not one of the paid
guys.
players. It's a lot of former pros, former minor leaguers, former pros in the various Latin leagues. There's former Venezuelan league players, former Mexican league players, and it's a local team. And middle of the season, last summer, not this summer, but last summer, they got low on pitching, and they needed a right-handed pitcher. They gave him a tryout, and he pitched a couple games for him. Pitched well. It's a very competitive league. A lot of really, really good players.
Nice. Okay.
Like one guy was like a Yankees prospect who got cut for being a little too mouthy and a little too difficult, and 25 years old. And he was a center fielder in the Yankees organization, but he pitched for them and was throwing, 93 inside, outside. So he had a blast in that league. The manager was really nice. They didn't speak a whole lot of English. So when the catcher came
that works out well.
Well, Jason now is doing great in Spanish.
Is he?
'Cause
Okay.
he actually is taking Spanish in college, but at the time it was sort of the rapid fire and some of the really, really fast dialects between some of the different Latin ethnicities and different accents and stuff. So they had a translator for him when the catcher would come out and talk to him. I just said, "What's Spanish for throw fucking strikes?" And
Is that all they would say to him?
Yeah, it was 95 degrees one day, and the manager saw him before the game. He was like, "Where's a water? Where's a water?" I said, "I don't have any water." And the only thing cold was a Modelo.
Tequila.
It was a Modelo. So he finished his bullpen and he threw down a Modelo. They ended up winning the game. He went 5 innings. They ended up winning the game. I think he gave up 2 earned in 5. And the manager after the game, he said, "Don't think I didn't see you pound that Modelo before the game." And they called him, his nickname was El Güerito, the little white guy.
Okay.
So he said today the little white guy is an honorary Mexican.
Well, there you go. And so you probably should have done that Modelo before every game.
Right. That's what I said. I said, don't get in that habit.
Right. Start that habit and start
Don't
taking
get in that
heaters in the
habit.
dugout too.
Yeah, it's the last thing that the club baseball team needs because there's beer in the dugout for most of the games. Anyway,
the Bears last night, Dan, had lost 28 straight games when they were trailing in the fourth quarter by 8 points or more.
they're making strides.
Yeah, it's just crazy. Like
They're making strides.
Unbelievable
And
stats.
I want to say, too, DJ Moore, as far as we know right now, we're waiting on an update on his condition.
Yeah.
He was hospitalized precautionarily after last night's game. And I have not been able to determine exactly what's going on. Apparently, he left Northwest Field in an ambulance. He was in there on the last play and smiling when he left the field. We saw him come out. There was speculation it was a leg injury, and then they were looking at his back. At one point, we saw him in a catcher's stance on the sidelines working through something, but he finished the game. So obviously we hope everything is okay with DJ Moore. At the risk of speculation, I didn't see exactly where the hit was. You hope that there isn't some concern about like a kidney bruise or an organ, or compartment syndrome was another thing I thought was maybe a possibility, that he got kicked in a large muscle area, and sometimes they don't want you to fly if there could be an issue there. Maybe it's just there was I don't know. So we're just obviously
when I was reading.
Go ahead.
I was trying to read as much as I could about him after the game, and the one thing I said that I saw that he was in some discomfort after taking a hit to the midsection. So, I'm assuming that they would say back if it was that area, but I'm assuming somewhere in the front. So
well,
I don't know.
If it's the back, you worry about the kidneys,
right?
You worry,
but I would think if it was a shot in the midsection, to me that's the front side. If they were going to say back, they would say back.
Right. We'll see. Whether
so
or not.
Hopefully he's okay. Yeah.
I hope he's fine. I hope that there's nothing, with the spleen or anything like else, any of the soft tissue in there. But there didn't seem to be a whole lot of panic. I hope that we'll find out today. And like you say, he seemed to be in good spirits and in good shape, and he was sure out there blocking late. So his toughness is definitely not in question.
And then Darnell Wright yesterday playing with that huge brace on his elbow, that elbow brace from that injury that he's dealing with, but it didn't seem to impact him at all.
Torn UCL.
Yeah.
He has the injury that would end a baseball player or a quarterback's season plus. He has a torn UCL, and he is wearing a brace. If this were a baseball player, we'd be talking about either Tommy John or what they call the internal brace procedure, would be if there is some of the ulnar collateral ligament left. But he, like you say, he is wearing a brace. You can let it try to sort of rescaffold itself and come back depending on the condition that it's in. And I don't know how much pain he's in. I don't know how much leverage he's losing, but he sure had a terrific game. So if he's able to play at that level with that injury, maybe he'll tough through it until the end of the year and then go get it fixed, or they'll let it heal on its own. I think both tackles did really well last night. I was watching Brian Baldinger's breakdown on Baldy's Breakdowns about Theo Benedett.
Your guy.
And his athleticism. Why are you smiling?
Oh, about Baldy. Remember our visit with him with Super Bowl?
Oh, we've talked. We talked about it. I think I talked about it with him,
05.
in fact.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I was half drunk.
Well, maybe more than half. Terry definitely was.
That was Terry. We both were. We were both out way too late, and that was after Brian Baldinger had said the Bears had beaten the Cardinals, and he said, "Listen to this crowd. You can't fire Dick Duran when you listen to this crowd." And I said, "What the hell is wrong with you?"
Yeah, and it got really testy.
And he's
really,
like, "I didn't
really
think it'd be this kind of interview."
Yeah,
and I said, "I didn't think you'd say something that stupid."
Yeah, it went off the rails quickly.
No, it's okay though. He's cool.
Yeah.
I don't mind Baldy. He's cool, and he's got one of these too. I think one of those Duke diplomas, and he was very complimentary of Benedett's work at the second level.
Mm-hmm.
And when we were showing the film, Benedett's fast. He gets out there and he brings it in the run game. And you saw it. There were plays that went left. There were a lot of plays that went right. I think Dahlman is better running to his right for whatever reason in the zone scheme. But they made their choice. And the coaching staff was very honest about that it was going to take time in the season, that it was going to be an ongoing process. I know they were underwhelmed by the competition. Kudos to the coaching staff for giving a chance to an undrafted free agent who was on the practice squad and following through with. A lot of coaches say, we have competition at every position. Anybody who emerges is going to have a chance. But a lot of them are lying, or they have biases that they are not appreciating and not accounting for and not checking. This is a case where the coaches meant it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And we've given a lot of criticism to the offensive line, to the new guys they brought in. They talked about being able to gel and have that process and time together. So want to give a little kudos to the offensive line as well, outside of the tackles, the interior. Joe Thuney, we haven't said much about him all season, which is great. But I thought Dahlman,
he's tremendous,
and Jonah Jackson had really, really good games last night. There's one play I can remember about Dahlman missing a block, getting beat, leading to a tackle in the backfield. Outside of that, Jackson and Dahlman were downfield in the secondary level, making plays, pulling and shifting as needed to accommodate the run game that Ben Johnson wants to run through. I thought they had great games. I thought the entire offensive line played really well, but kudos to guys that we've criticized a lot. And if I'm not mistaken, no penalties.
Well,
Dahlman and Jackson.
I don't think that there was a false start penalty. DJ Moore at one point lined up in the neutral zone. I know there was a defensive penalty lining up the neutral zone. As far as I remember, that nobody jumped.
I think that's correct. There was 9 penalties, 84 yards. I don't think any of them were on the offensive line.
Well, yes, there was the illegal formation on Benedict that was bullshit.
That's a terrible call. Yeah, that was a terrible, absolutely terrible call. And if you don't know the origin of that rule, on the tackles, you don't be in a straight line. You can kind of V out a little bit, but your helmet is supposed to be in alignment with the center's buttocks.
You know who caused that rule?
Who?
Lawrence Taylor. There is a Lawrence Taylor.
Oh, did he really?
Lawrence Taylor and Derek Thomas. And I remember when they changed it, and I think it was Tony Wise and the Bears offensive line coach that was explaining it to me. And he was explaining it just like, was it Russell Yerk? Russell Yerk on the broadcast. Russell Yerk was saying that because Tony Wise told me, he goes, the way you have to do it now. And he gets in a stance, and he would say, like, your head has to be in line with his ass. It's got to be head, ass, head. Like, okay, thank you, Tony. I got it. Yes, that was very colorfully described. And that's exactly what they said. And the reason they did that, you talk about somebody changing the game, that's essentially the Lawrence Taylor, Derek Thomas rule, because otherwise they were able to just turn the corner too fast. They completely obviated. And they said now they weren't allowing some of these outside edge guys to just wreck a game, and they gave you more of a chance by allowing you to make a bow shape with your offensive line.
Yeah, I mean, you can't look like a whole flock of geese, heading south like that. That's significant of a V.
No,
but you have to be. I mean, you can be off the line a little bit, and I don't think where he was at, and even in the broadcast, they didn't think it was that egregious of an alignment to merit a flag, particularly on a play that Caleb makes a beautiful pass, Rome makes an incredible catch in the end zone. So to take away a touchdown was really unfortunate. So maybe it shouldn't have gone the way the game went last night. The Bears maybe should have won that game a little more comfortably were it not for a couple bad calls.
Well, you can't play that game in the NFL, though. I mean, of
course I know you can't. I mean,
should have won it more comfortably. Sure, you should have had touchdowns on the first two drives.
Yeah, I mean, I can do that when they won. I mean, if it's a loss, it's sour grapes. With a win, you can complain about the officiating.
Fair enough.
But he wasn't in such a negative alignment that it should have been called. Again, watch any Kansas City Chiefs game, and you're going to see almost a complete V from their offensive line. It's horseshit.
I didn't know that there was going to be Chiefs shade. You were watching it that closely that they allow them to.
Well, that's free. It's been going on for a couple seasons now.
Well, and somebody put this in the chat last night. Why wouldn't you then want a center with an enormous ass?
Just find the biggest assed man possible.
That was the James Daniels. You remember the Bears when they had James Daniels at center?
Yeah, not James Brown, but James Daniels.
Correct. But yes. James Daniels had this just massive, perfect interior lineman, gloriously giant ass.
Perfect ass? Oh, you liked it, huh?
I walked into Bourbonnais. I sat down that day and I said, I got to tell you something I saw today that was the best thing I've seen, and it's that man's giant ass. And but if you just had a guy where it just kind of has that nice little back bump to it, you can shape your offensive line better.
Maybe they get Cal Raleigh out there.
Oh, the big dumper.
The big dumper. Yeah, but anyway, the offensive line played really good. A lot of criticism.
Tiana Taylor from One Battle After Another.
Oh yeah, that's a booty. But the offensive line being, taking some criticism the first few weeks with some pre-snap penalties and not being able to block for the run. Really good game last night from tackle to tackle. Really impressive, and I hope that continues. And whatever Ben Johnson is able to build on from this game and add and develop more. And even if that's not the case, if this is what you're doing well right now, keep doing it. Let's do it more, and let's get it more effective in our next game against the Saints coming up this Sunday.
I know you got some numbers that you want to look at now that the game is in the books and the numbers have been adjusted here. I saw this note that I thought you'd find interesting. Our guy Joe Ostrowski was going through next-gen stats.
Okay.
And there is a stat called expected completion percentage.
Okay.
And what that is for NFL next-gen stats, expected completion percentage is a probability, measures the likelihood of a pass being completed, and it's based on the air distance of the throw, how far it travels in the air, the separation the receiver gets, the proximity to the sideline, the pass rusher separation, that's how long the quarterback has to throw the nearest pass rusher,
okay,
how fast the quarterback is moving at the moment of the throw, and the amount of time the quarterback has from the moment it's snapped until the moment it's thrown. Those are all the things.
That's a lot of stuff.
It is. It's a lot of things that are taken in to determine all that. And that's compared to the actual completion percentage. You're saying what throws should you make. So the way I would look at this, well, let me just give you the numbers first, and then I'll explain my analysis of it.
Okay.
Caleb Williams is leading the NFL. He is leading the NFL
in expected
completion percentage.
Okay.
At 71.5%.
Okay.
Kyler Murray is second at 69.3. C.J. Stroud is third, nicely at 69. Jackson Dart at 68.3. Tua Tagovailoa at 67.8. Jared Goff at 67.6. And Patrick Mahomes at 67.5.
Okay, so let me ask you a question on this then. What is now a lot of data points in there to create this percentage?
Correct.
So then what does this tell us about that particular quarterback?
I think it tells us a lot more about the play caller, the play designer in Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I agree, because I'm looking through that list, and I mean, it went Caleb Williams, Kyler Murray, Jackson Dart,
C.J. Stroud,
then Jackson Dart.
Then
Jared Goff.
And this is something that would give all the credit in the world. I want you to picture, if you will, breaking into Rod Serling here, picture the pass that Olamide Zacchaeus dropped late.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
But this gives him credit for that. This gives Ben Johnson credit for an expected completion. That means that is pretty much, if you want a stat that says, are you scheming guys open? That's what it looks like. Not necessarily not throwing guys open. Are you scheming guys open?
Yeah, no, I get that. That makes sense. And I like that. And then it also then incorporates the vision that the quarterback is having in seeing the right guy to get
Correct.
to. So you could scheme it correctly, but I may not see it correctly, which is okay. So this makes more sense now, because of those 5 quarterbacks you mentioned, the first guy I would take right now making a team is Jared Goff,
of course.
But
Mahomes.
Well, yeah, you're right. You did say Mahomes too. Sorry, my bad. So Mahomes first, then Goff second. But yeah, So I like how this plays into the play calling. It's on Ben Johnson, but it's also Caleb, which is interesting because he doesn't consistently show the ability to find the right guy to throw to.
Well, then again, it makes us question on those throws when we say this guy was more open, he should have thrown it here, he should have thrown it there. What this tells us is, on balance, he is throwing it to the right guy. If he's leading the league, these are throws that you actually make.
Yeah.
Not ones you should make. These are, of the throws that leave his hand, he has the highest expected completion percentage. What that means is, if we try to boil this down, it is the guy that is schemed open, for the most part, he is targeting.
That's correct. And so that then goes to the play calling itself, and where you said it's more on Ben Johnson and the play calling.
The calling and the design.
Okay,
first it's constructing the play against air, and then it's having the right call in and or checked to. This is the other thing I want to get to. Just because Ben Johnson called it, how many times do we see Caleb Williams go to the line and say, kill, can, whatever it is, that means the other one, and that's his decision.
That's his decision,
not Ben
correct.
Johnson's decision.
So it goes to that, then so the Ben Johnson construction, then the calling the right play at that right moment, given the defense and the circumstance of the game, and then you can also add in Caleb Williams at the line making an adjustment there. But let me throw this at you.
Okay.
Because there are still times when Caleb is missing the guy that we determine is probably the number one route, is the guy he's not making the throw because he's not getting it out of his hand fast enough.
Right.
What happens to this offense when he starts doing that? He's leading the league right now. What happens when he starts taking advantage of all those opportunities that are there for this Ben Johnson offense?
Right. What this says is, even at that percentage, there's still meat on the bone.
Yes.
And another place where I would measure that is in the difference between his actual completion percentage and his expected completion percentage. That tells you distance that should be made up. So where is he? Is he at 66? And I know that there's an effective completion percentage. It's a little different because there are throws that he's going to dirt. There's throws that he's going to throw out of the back of the end zone on purpose. And sometimes those things are tracked a little differently in some of the more meaningful stats. But if he starts making his layups, if he starts hitting those open throws and having better communication with whether or not a receiver is stopping or continuing his feet in man versus zone. Obviously, if it's zone, you sit. If it's man, you keep moving. And they're still in between on some of those. This tells me that there's potential in there for him to take a much bigger leap forward.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's really exciting to think that that's even a possibility. And looking at his numbers right now for the year, he's at 61.6% completion percentage.
So he's minus 10 from expected.
Minus 10 from expected, correct. And that currently has him at 22nd in the league among quarterbacks that have a necessary amount of attempts, because there's other guys with higher percentages. But looking at all guys that are starters with a certain number of percentage or number of attempts, I should say, he's 22nd in the league at 61.6.
All right.
Which
well,
is,
so
10,
if you're looking at the glass half empty, you'd say he's just inaccurate.
Yeah.
It's somebody that that's. I don't think it's an invalid criticism when I'm here saying he misses layups. That say, look, this guy's scheming people open, and even when you make the right decision, you're still lagging your expectation by 10%.
Correct. So just think how much better it's going to get. And so like last night, let's take that 2-point conversion that we talked about, where Kyle Monungai coming out is the first read, and it should have been immediate. There shouldn't have been any delay, and the fact that he ran 35 yards to throw an incomplete pass was just completely unnecessary. So how did he miss that guy? So once he starts, so he's leading the league now at 71.5, and once he starts releasing the ball quicker, like Ben Johnson wants, like on that particular play, that percentage goes up even higher, which creates more yards, which creates more points.
When they took that late shot down the field to Roma Dunze
in the double team, which should have been
into double coverage,
yeah,
I have no problem with taking shots to take shots, but not with that level of danger. I didn't.
No, that was too high of a risk factor for me. The thing that irritated me more was in one of the first quarter that he underthrew Rome. That Rome had to slow down, come back, and was able to allow the defender to make a play on it. He has a better arm than that. He just made a bad throw. That was a very inaccurate throw at that point.
He did. I also think Rome on that play could have made a veteran wide receiver move. There is when it is underthrown, make sure the defender is between you and the ball, and as you target the ball, go right through the body of the defender.
Yeah,
they
for sure.
have to call that.
Yep.
That is an automatic flag, because chances are that the defender's head is turned. Just go right through his body, and that's automatic spot foul.
All right, a couple other things on Caleb Williams here, looking at this season through 5 games. He's, again, among quarterbacks with qualified attempts. His quarterback rating is 17th among starters at 98. Really good.
Is that you're talking quarterback rating or
quarterback rating?
QBR.
Yes.
Not passer efficiency rating.
No. I'm looking at this is. Hang on. Let me just pull my screen back down here. Uh-oh.
I just want to make sure, because we use them interchangeably, but passer rating.
This is passer rating, not QBR.
Okay.
Passer rating. Okay. He's at 98, 17th among starters. He's 18th in yards at 1179. Yards per average, he's 14 at 7.4. Here's what I love, though. 159 attempts, 2 interceptions. Okay, so we know he takes care of the ball well there.
He should have had 2 last night, though.
Should have had 2 last night, but, again, they didn't make the play. Interesting enough, though, looking at your guy, Baker Mayfield, 195 attempts, 1 interception.
He's awesome.
Here's something to keep in mind, though, for Sunday. Spencer Rattler, 203 attempts, 1 interception.
That changes.
Which changes on Sunday, for sure. Here's one other note that I love about what we're seeing for the Bears as a team and Caleb as the quarterback. Through 5 games this year, 10 sacks, which is 18th in the league. Last year, through 5 games, same record, 3-2, 17.
Yep.
17 sacks. So almost cut that in half for a team through 5 games, same identical records, 10 sacks this year, 17 sacks last year. That is obviously a byproduct of the offensive line as well as Caleb himself.
Coaching. That to me also is swapping out Ben Johnson for Shane Waldron.
You think there's a difference there?
Swapping in Ben Johnson for Shane Waldron. I think that is a huge difference.
Yeah, and a couple other things real quick, too. Kevin Byard III, he's tied for second in interceptions. Rome, despite losing that touchdown last night, is still one behind Brown and Pickens at 6, and Rome has 5.
You know what separates the pros from everyone else? They don't ignore injuries. A torn ligament doesn't heal itself. Well, neither does ED. And 30 million men deal with it. So that total number is every major sports fan combined. So ED happens when there's not enough blood flow. And that can be combined with decreased arousal signals from your brain. It's not about age or losing your competitive edge. It's just biology, and it's treatable. And that is where Rougiette Ready comes in. Because doctors review every case. There is tailored treatment, not one size fits all. It's an online process with Rougiette. There's no awkward pharmacy trips. These are medications with FDA-approved ingredients with unlimited doctor follow-ups included. It isn't some wacky idea of anything unproven, some herbal crazy thing. These are medical doctors. Pro teams have specialized doctors for every issue, and your health should not be different. So don't ignore an issue with your health, because it's not just physical. The mental game matters. And Rougiette specializes in ED treatment with doctors who know exactly what they're doing. Visit Rougiette.com. That is RUGIET.com. And your promo code for listening to Forward Progress is FORWARD. Use the promo code FORWARD when you check out for a special offer. RUGIET, Rougiette.com. Get back in the game with Rougiette.
Real quick, just want to take a quick peek ahead. I mentioned the Bears are hosting the Saints this Sunday, noon at Soldier Field. Our Thursday night game to kick off Week 7 is the Steelers, who are winners of 3 in a row, at Cincinnati, taking on Frankenstein's Monster and my guy, Joe Flacco. Our early game Sunday, we have the Rams and Jacksonville playing another London game. So that's the
good
early
game.
Yeah, so
That's actually a good game.
We get some more football all day long, which I love. I love these early games, these international games. Saints at the Bears. We have the Dolphins at Cleveland, which is going to be a stinker. New England winners of also 3 in a row at Tennessee, so they'll get 4 in a row there. Raiders are at Kansas City. Eagles go to Minnesota. Hopefully a loss for our friends here in the north. Carolina at the Jets. Will the Jets get their first win of the season for Aaron Glenn, or will he get fired? Is he your next coach on the hot seat?
Aaron Glenn? No, it's too early.
Too early in his time
Mike
there?
McDaniel.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Mike McDaniel's your guy. That's right. You have the Giants at Denver. Denver also looking for their 4th win in a row. The Colts and the Chargers. Washington at Dallas. Green Bay at Arizona. Atlanta at San Francisco. And
That's
then
a good game, too.
Oh, yeah, Atlanta at San Francisco?
Yeah.
Atlanta's quite – I don't know what to make of Atlanta.
I don't either, but that's a good little shakeout game there. I like that.
To figure out, yeah, for sure.
Yep.
And then we have 2 Monday night games again for us. Your guy Baker takes on the Lions in the earlier of the 2 games, and then Houston
is that an
Seattle.
NFC Championship preview?
If you're lucky, it would be.
Right, because I have the Bucks at 33-1 to win the Super Bowl.
33-1?
I think so.
Yeah, and then the second Monday night game is Houston at Seattle. That'd be a really good defensive matchup.
Yeah, it's pretty good, too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're due for some good games.
Better games here in Week 7 to occupy our time.
Let me ask you, with the performance of Jake Moody and the understanding that this coaching staff is certainly not tied to Cairo Santos in any way, Do the Bears have a kicking competition?
Well, Jake Moody didn't do much to hurt himself last night. That one real low trajectory on that 48-yard kick that was blocked. We talked about it last night a little bit. He has a stronger leg than Cairo Santos. Cairo Santos is a lot more accurate, one of the more accurate guys ever in Bears history. And if maybe the change of scenery, the different coaching, something different might help Moody because he's been wildly inconsistent, which is why he's no longer with the 49ers. If he can take care of those accuracy woes and, kick off better and have more opportunities for the offense to score, because I know
he's got a bigger leg.
Because, Dan, we're seeing that now in the NFL. It's not. There was almost a 67-yard field goal.
There was a 67-yard field goal,
but they called the timeout though, froze it.
Right, but he bounced it off the crossbar.
Yeah. So we're seeing these longer kicks now becoming more important parts of an offense.
What did I tell you about the K-balls?
Yeah, no, you talked about the K-balls before the season even began.
Yep, before the season started, I said the moment that they changed, they relaxed the rule about softening their balls and making their balls more round, that the kicking was going to go crazy this year. I told you that.
What was funny last night before the game-winning kick? I don't know if you saw it but they showed it on TV, and Troy Aikman obviously missed it. When the ref swapped the ball out, he took the ball off the ground, put the kicking ball down on the ground right before the line came up to the line of scrimmage, and Troy Aikman made a comment about how that ball's just been sitting there getting all wet and is going to be slippery. Hope that's not an issue. But he must have missed when the ref swapped the ball out. Yeah.
Because it probably was slippery when the fumble happened.
Oh, I'm sure it was. When Jaden Daniels went, because you saw the slow-mo replay. They got a nice shot of it. The ball came out of his hand prematurely. It definitely slipped out of his hand before it got the frosty.
While we're talking about kicking, let me just maybe conclude with this. I don't know if you saw the quotes that Brad Biggs had from Tory Taylor.
I didn't.
Here's my proposal that Tory Taylor needs some less filtration. That we need a Tory Taylor Unfiltered, because there's some parentheticals that have been plugged into these quotes to make them, to sanitize them properly for the Tribune.
Okay.
And there's just a couple things from him that I would love to know what he actually said. Because I guess Biggs found him afterward to talk about the prep for a different kicker and how you go through the operation with long snapper Scott Daly. And Daly says, we were prepped for every scenario. We've been working with Jake for 3 weeks now. It wasn't anything foreign. He's a pro. He's super low maintenance. He's been in the league for a while. So here's Tory Taylor. And I'm not going to do an Australian accent. He says, I feel real lucky, or as you Americans would say, blessed. They're different things. He said, Cairo and Jake are not high maintenance. Because you've got some people that are jerks. And he didn't say jerks. He's talking about place kickers.
Okay.
He must have said assholes, right?
Okay.
I think assholes are dicks, right?
Yeah.
It's some Australian word that probably sounds like us. You got some guys get bossy walls, right? I mean, I don't even know. You got some people that are jerks. If it's half a degree left or right, it's what was that? That does make a difference. So they said it's the same operation. And then he said, this is Tory Taylor, I'm going to have parenthetically bad. So he probably said, I'm going to have shitty punts. And Scott's maybe going to snap bad balls. That all happens. We do a good job of going through our process and our routine. And I'm going to change a parenthetical here. No one gives a shit how you feel. Poles and Hightower and Johnson aren't going, oh, I wonder if these boys are feeling okay. No, this better go through the fucking uprights. You know what I mean? Because it says parenthetically darn uprights.
All right. So, yeah, let's make it. I'm going to make an effort here to get him on because we need to hear Tory Taylor unfiltered.
That's hysterical.
So here, I just Googled real quick. Australian slang for jerk.
Yeah.
And terms like prick, wally, prat, or plonker. So it's possible
guy.
he said, yeah,
Right.
he let's say he said Pratt, and Biggs was like, what is that? And he's like, oh, that's like a jerk. But so that's a possibility. I like the idea better that he said asshole or dick or that he swore.
Well, pricks would work there too.
Yeah, no, it
You
would.
got some people that ain't pricks, right? Yeah.
Yeah. So we'll have to find out. We'll have to make that part of our mission here to understand what he really feels like, because we can put him on Dan Bernstein Unfiltered, which then makes him unfiltered, where he can speak his piece.
Well, if he can follow Courtney Cronin in that regard, and that was on this show, that was on Forward Progress, and I think she's the reigning champion.
Well, that's the record holder right now. For
of
sure.
getting permission to curse, and then in the next sentence just lighting up all the meters,
unleashing it like it was great. It was a storm.
just throwing everything into redlining all of it. So I don't think he's going to top that, but maybe
we can let him try. Maybe that should be the goal for this show, to get someone to top Courtney's swear.
I want to let people know that later on this afternoon, Organizations Win Championships is returning to your ears wherever you get your podcasts. The OWC is going to drop later this afternoon, and it is now a part of 312 Sports. If you are a Bulls fan, if you're an NBA fan, it is going to be your place to hear a lot of that stuff. And obviously we're going to do plenty on DBU, but we're going to do a lot more of it on OWC. And the asswipe that was the star of the live chat last night is going to be hanging out. So you can come hang out with us later. Make sure you subscribe and like and download and all the things that you do here.
That's it. Say bye now.
Bye now.